How many children did you watch him kill?
I can remember, well, him specifically, not the group of 5.
So you physically watched him kill 5.
Yeah.
How many did you witness?
Probably 7 over the course of my life, I think. Yeah. I haven't counted them exactly.
But there were a significant amount.
Yeah.
And this wasn't just we're going to shoot you and get it over with. There was pain.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you want to go into detail of how this happened, you're more than welcome to, but talk to me a little bit about what you witnessed.
Well, with him, it was always the same scenario when he killed boys. I didn't watch him kill girls, I don't think. Yeah, I don't actually remember that. So when I watched him kill boys, what it was is that he would get them off the side of the road, and then he would bring them to a house or another location, and then he would have the boys kiss me, almost like he was getting off. So he'd be jacking off while he was watching the little boy do whatever he was doing with me. And then it was like something would snap, and he would go into this completely other mode of like jealousy rage. And so as if he was mad that the boys were touching me, even though he was the one that told them to, he would grab them and like brutally beat them to death, or in one occasion he hacked them to death with a small like axe. That was him on his own. With the ritual group, they're not like that. It's not like a hodgepodge, emotionally induced type of a thing. It's more like, what's creepy about the group is it's more like there's zero emotion involved in it, where their number one way is to do it on ritual bonfires. So they would have in like this black mass, I'll tell you one of them because this is pretty much what it was like most of the time. So we were in the Idaho wilderness, right outside of this, I guess if you go from Preston, Idaho, and you drive up this side canyon, you're in this huge aspen grove. And so we were up there, probably 5 minutes walk from one of the main roads that was winding through that particular area. And we were all brought to this place where people were wearing these gold masks with like purple robes, and then some people were wearing black masks, black robes with white masks. So they're all standing in this grove, a lot more than just the coven that I had been introduced to. It was probably 3 or 4 covens, so I would say in total probably 40-something people were at this particular gathering. So we're standing there, they're doing like a chanting, so they're around in a circle and they're reading, I guess from old, I have no idea what language it was. Most of them didn't explain these types of things to me when I was a kid, I just was watching it. So I'm standing there, and through the woods come these 2 men, and they had like a pole, kind of like you'd use for a teepee pole. And there was a little girl, I'm guessing again, she was probably 5. She was super tiny. She was Mexican in Orient, I can tell, because she had the dark skin and everything. So they had taken her, and she was tied up, so they had put this teepee pole thing there, and then they tied her hands and her legs up to it, so it was like her face was facing down, right? And these 2 men were carrying her in towards this enormous fire that they had made. And to make a fire hot enough to burn a human body is like, you have to make it really, really hot. So they had to be burning it probably since the morning, way before I ever got there. But they ended up doing a ritual with her, and then they just picked her up and put her right down over the top of the fire. Now, it is one of the most horrific things you'll ever watch, not because it's like, they actually die pretty quickly that way, because the second that they get over that immense amount of heat, they take their first in-breath and they're gone. It basically sears your lungs to the point of no return. But the most horrific thing is just watching, like I remember as like when they put her in, her hair was dissolved instantaneously. It's like when you put hair in fire, it just disappears. So not only that, what most people have never thought about and don't see is that the skin just like liquefies and it starts to fall off of the body in sheets. So that I was watching it fall into the fire like that, and then pretty soon we were left with basically only bones and like sinews and stuff like that. So I don't know what they do with the bones that they do in those rituals, because usually we leave before anything's cleaned up. It takes quite a while for a body to completely burn. So that was a pretty typical way of killing them. And this you have to know too, for the different holidays, it requires killing people in different ways, so, and different ages. So some of the rituals require aborted fetuses. Some of them require tiny babies. Others require like a woman who's in the prime of her reproductive cycle, things like that. And if they take a woman who's in the prime of her reproductive cycle, the way that you kill them is by slicing them across the throat.